What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Johnny K Picks. And in this video, I'm going to be going over my full card picks and predictions, along with the bets that I'm looking at so far for UFC 291 Poirier versus Gaethje. Now, first things first, as always, please hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new, or if you just haven't yet. If you're one of those that just doesn't like to hit that subscribe button for some reason, hey, it's free, guys. I put on these shows every week, so why not hit that subscribe button? Also, turn on the notifications so you know when these come up. Sometimes I'm doing them on Mondays. I'm going to try to do them a little earlier, maybe on Sundays some days. So it's good to get notification when they do come up. Also, the live streams that come out throughout the week. So definitely do that. And also leave some comments below on some of your favorite fights this weekend, some of your favorite bets that you're going to place. Anything helps out the algorithms for YouTube and my videos out. So I much appreciated for everything you guys do. But let's jump into last card, which was UFC Vegas 70. Oh, I'm sorry, not 70. UFC London. And for my picks, I ended up going 9-6, which we will get to one of those fights because I believe I should be 10-5. And for my bets, I had 7. I went 4-3. Should have went 5-2. 1 plus 1.58 units profit. Should have been over 4 units instead. But like I said, we will get to that shortly here and we'll go over it. First fight of the night, Jafel Filho versus Daniel Perez. Pretty good fight. Very entertaining in the first round. Perez looked very good early on, very good striking. He was landing on Jafel a lot, good body shots. He cracked him once, and Jafel got knocked down, but he got back up again. And then all of a sudden, the tides turned, and then Jafel was landing on him. Then Jafel got the takedown, and it was over from there. That's kind of how I thought it would be. Not the the beginning part, but if Jafel got a takedown early, he would get that submission win. I bet him. It hit. I was sweating it for the first 2 minutes. I'll tell you that, though. But very fun fight to start the night off. Brazil versus Bannon. I mean, it was a good fight from Brazil. She did look better than in her UFC debut for sure. I will say, though, she does not like to be pushed backwards. So when she's on her back foot, she does not like it. She does not do well. When she is pushing forward, though, she does very well. She's got good left hook. So that's something to think about betting her. Bannon, I think she needs a little bit more work. She did not look that great. So we will see what happens with both these fighters. Next fight, Chris Duncan versus Yanel Ashmouz. It looked like Ashmouz hurt his hand, his left hand, I believe. So he did not throw his left hand after the first round at all. And basically, Chris Duncan schooled him for all 3 rounds. So, I mean, Duncan was fighting a one-armed guy. I don't want to, say anything bad about Duncan because he did what he needed to do. He got the job done. But, I mean, if it wasn't for injury, it might have been a little bit more fun of a fight to watch. But hey, it is what it is. Good. And Duncan did look impressive, though. He looked better. He didn't get rocked or anything. So I like what I see. And if he continues that, we're doing good. Ketlin Vieira versus Pannie Kianzad. Ketlin Vieira came in there looking like Bryce Mitchell out there, just grappling, and Pannie could not stop the easiest takedowns ever. So basically, it was a 29-28. I thought Ketlin had a chance to win round 3 too. But it was 29-28 unanimous for Ketlin. She definitely won that fight. Murdoch versus Barberena. Pretty much how it went, or how I thought it would go, it went. Murdoch basically dominated for 3 rounds, and Barberena didn't really have a chance whatsoever. Next fight, Parkin versus Pogues. Pogues looked like crap, I'll say. And I don't know if it was the extra weight that he had on, but Parkin didn't even have to shoot any takedowns. He basically outstruck him, and I think Pogues landed about 10 strikes for the whole fight. So weird fight there. Bad pick, and we know going forward what Pogues will be in the heavyweight division if he's 265. Next one, Alvarez versus Diakese. Good win from Alvarez. I guess there was a headbutt, and I'm being honest, I did not see it live. I was on the Fight Companion, and I didn't see a replay or nothing, but apparently there was a headbutt that caused Diakese to stumble and not do well and cover up, and Alvarez got the submission. But Alvarez, I thought he won the first round. He wasn't looking that good in the early first part of the second round. But then I guess that headbutt hit, and then it turned the tides a bit, and Alvarez got the submission. It is what it is. Next one, Parsons versus Roberts. I picked Parsons to win. This is kind of how I thought it would go. I thought Roberts would look good in the first round and then start to fade. Parsons turned it up a notch, started to land some good shots. Danny Roberts got knocked down at least once, maybe twice in the second round. And then finally, Jason, I think he saw enough. And it might have been an early stoppage, but throughout that whole round, though, let's be honest, Roberts was getting a lot of damage on him. So good win from Parsons. All right, controversial fight of the night. I might take about 5 minutes for this one because I'm still a touch salty. Marcos versus Grant. Grant won that fight, guys. Like, there was an argument for him to win 30-27, but I was going to be nice and say 29-28. Marcos did not win 2 rounds. Grant won rounds 2 and rounds 3. Round 1 was the closest round. I think the significant strikes were 13-16, and that went to Davy Grant. So that was a close round. The second and third round, Davy Grant outstruck Marcos by a lot. And I don't care if anyone says that Marcos landed that shot that split him open on his nose. That was like a scratch. Like, it wasn't even a really good shot enough to like bruise him up or nothing. Like, it looked like a scratch, and that's what it came, and it just kept bleeding. So to me, Grant was landing the better shots, and Marcos wasn't doing anything in rounds 2 and 3 other than that little hot shot that got him in the nose. But that should not have went to split. Grant won that fight. I had a bet on Grant, and that's why I'm a little salty. I don't care. I haven't heard anyone on Twitter say that Marcos won that fight after the fact. So I think I know where everyone stands. So don't come at me if you think Marcos won, because he did not. Next fight, Murphy versus Kulabau. Very impressed with Murphy, actually. I liked his wrestling that he used later in the fight. He actually got some takedowns in Kulabau. On the feet, he looked great. He knocked him down with a good body shot in the third, I believe. Didn't get the finish, but he looked good. So good win from Murphy. Next one is Zion versus Herbert. Very close fight for all 3 rounds. I did think the right guy won. Do I believe in the 30-27 scorecard, though? I would say no. Not going to argue it, though, because it wasn't as bad as the Grant and Marcos decision, because this fight was closer than the other fight. And this one didn't even go to split decision. So riddle me that. But like I said, I think the right guy won, though. Very close fight. Next one was one of my bad picks of the night. I did not see this one coming. Paul Craig versus Muniz. Muniz did not look good at all. And I'm not saying Paul Craig looked great either, but he looked way better than Muniz. And Muniz, I don't know. I don't know if I can pick or bet him anymore, because his last 2 fights, and I know one was against Brennan Allen, who's doing good, but Paul Craig's coming down to middleweight. He only can grapple, and he's going to out grapple you, and you can't outstrike him on the feet. Like, to me, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he's washed now. I know he's like 33, 34, 35 range, but who knows? Maybe this is it for him. Nathaniel Wood versus Andre Fili. I think this was the fight of the night personally. Both guys were getting knockdowns. Both guys were landing good shots, but I do think Wood won that one. I know it was fairly close to with the knockdowns, but I think Wood eventually won round 1, even though they both got knocked down. Round 2, I think Fili won, and I think round 3, Wood definitely won that round. So very good fight. I picked Wood, and I thought he would do what he did exactly, minus the knockdown, being knocked down. But other than that, very good. Next one, Stolyarenko versus McCann. We all knew it was going to be one or the other. Let's be honest. Stolyarenko sub, Molly McCann finished probably later in the fight, and Stolyarenko got that first round sub. So good win for her. That's how she wins UFC fights, and Molly McCann cannot stop any grappling or takedowns. So I had the under 2.5, so I was okay with whatever happened. Like I said, I knew it was going to be one or the other. And the main event, Tom Aspinall versus Marcin. You know what? Until I know Tom got hurt, and I knew he was very good, but that speed, that explosiveness, the power, it's still there, which is good to see. I thought he was going to take it a little bit slower, get combinated in the first round, get the ring rust off. No, he went for it. He got it done in a minute 13, and just a couple straights down the middle, landed on Tibur's chin, and he's down. So good win from Aspinall. I think he's very dangerous for this division, and I think he's top 3 level. He can even be a heavyweight. Maybe if John Jones leaves or retires soon, I think he's going to be the next heavyweight champion, to be honest. I think he's that good. He's good grappling, good striking, powerful, quick, big. Everything went heavyweight fighter there. But that was UFC London. Like I said, with my bets, if you can see this down here, I won 1.58 units. I had 7 bets. I lost the Grant fight, won Alvarez and Filho, lost the Tom Aspinall fight to start round 2. That was a bad bet in retrospect now. The Muniz Wood parlay, Muniz looked like crap, so that was a bad bet, but had Wood. I wish I would have put him in a different parlay there, but it's okay. Had the under 2.5 in the over in or under 2.5 in the Stoliarenko fight, over 2.5 in the Penny fight. So that hit. And then I also hit the time prop bets that I did. I liked all of these 3, and I just decided to put them all. I didn't want to make 2 bets, so I just did 1, and they all hit. Might start round 3 in the Wood fight, which was dicey. Herbert Ziam over 1.5, which hit fairly easily, and then the Murphy Kulabov fight to start round 3, which that hit fairly easily too. Like I said, plus 158 units profit. Should have been 4. It is what it is. So let's get to UFC 291. We have 12 fights this time, not 15. Couple cancellations. Priscilla was supposed to fight Joanne Wood. The Costa Ikram fight, that's no longer there because Costa's going to be fighting Chimaev. Semelsberger was supposed to fight Johan Leonesi, and then Jake Matthews was supposed to fight Miguel Baeza. So we're going with the first one here. I think they moved these around, at least this fight, because I did not do this one first, but here we are. Miranda Maverick versus Priscilla Cachoeira. Maverick is 11-5, 26 years old, 5'3", 65.5-inch reach, and Cachoeira is 12-4, 34 years old, 5'7", with a 65-inch reach. Let me pull this one up. There we go. So Maverick is taking this fight on short notice, and she's a very well-rounded fighter with good striking, decent wrestling and grappling. Submission game is a work in progress, and then also her takedown defense isn't that great, but she doesn't have to worry about that in this fight, like we saw against Jasmine Jasudavicius, which was a month ago. So she's taking this fight on a short turnaround, trying to get back on the win column. She's got good cardio, she's durable, and she is strong. Cachoeira, powerful striker with good volume. Her takedown defense isn't great, which could play a big part in this fight. She can be hittable on the feet, but she's durable. She's very powerful. She'll take 2 to give 1 back, and she's one of the strongest hitters in this division. And if she does get taken down, she has no idea what to do on the mat. So for me, this is an easy breakdown, kind of like the Stoliarenko Molly McCann fight, really. If Maverick can get the takedowns, I think she's going to win this fight by submission. Let's be honest. Cachoeira has no idea what to do on the feet or on the mat. I'm sorry, but on the feet, this fight will be closer. I ever so slightly may give Cachoeira a slight edge because she is more powerful and she could land the more powerful shots as the fight goes on. But I really think Maverick's going to go for her wrestling and get the takedown and get the submission win for my pick. So with my pick, like I said, Maverick by submission. I think those takedowns are going to come early, often, very easily, and it's just only going to be a matter of time after that. And I'm not saying Maverick's the best finisher on the mat, but I think it's going to be pretty easy. Let's be honest. For the bets, though, I think Maverick is safe in the parlay. You may be sweating it a bit if she can't get those takedowns or if the fight goes longer, like in the second or third round. You can look at Maverick by sub prop. You can do Maverick inside the distance. You can do the under, which covers both bases. So let's say Maverick doesn't get the submission or takedowns, and Cachoeira is very live for that knockout. And I can see why people want to sprinkle Cachoeira knockout. I think that's the way she wins this fight. I don't think she's going to win a decision. I don't think she's going to win by sub. It's going to be knockout or bust for her. So I think to start the night off, Maverick wins this one. Inside the distance will be safe. Next one we got is going to be Matthew Semelsberger versus Uros Mitic. Semelsberger, 11-5, 30 years old, 6'1", with a 75-inch reach, and Mitic is 8-1, 30 years old, 6'1", with a 71-inch reach. So Semelsberger is a solid striker with good power in his hands. He's got good straights right down the middle, also good jab, has decent wrestling and takedowns he can use. He mainly uses that later in the later rounds to switch up some switch up game plans, or if he's getting rocked or something like that. But it would be a good idea for him to mix in some takedowns, I think, in this fight. He does slow down a little bit as the fight goes on. He can leave himself open to counters and good shots, but he's very durable. He's not going to get knocked out right away. Medic, though, taking this fight on short notice. He's moving up from lightweight to welterweight, but he's a very explosive striker. He's got good power in both hands. He throws a ton of volume early. He's always dangerous, but a lot of his wins have not come against good competition, even in the UFC and regional scene. And I mean, he fought Jalen Turner, and Jalen Turner is a beast. So I see that how he lost that fight, but he beat Omar Morales by knockout, and he beat Alan Cruz. So I think Matthew Semelsberger is a little bit better than both those guys. So this is going to be one of his toughest competition, moving up a weight class on short notice. So with that, all that being said, I'm going to say Semelsberger does win this fight. I like Medic as a prospect, though, in the lightweight division. I just don't know how he's going to look here. And I think he's going to be like first round or bust here to get Semelsberger out of there. And we haven't seen Semelsberger get out in the first round. He takes these fights into decision, or he gets the first round finish himself. So his last 4 fights, though, have gone to decision. So that's something to think about in this fight, though. But for my pick, give me Semelsberger. I do think he gets the finish in the second round, maybe. I think Medic is going to start slowing down. He's going to be carrying that extra weight. It's going to be an elevation. I forgot to say that earlier. A lot of these, last time it was in Salt Lake City, a lot of fighters got tired really quick. So I think this may happen to Medic. So I'm going to say Semelsberger gets the finish in the second round. I'll say by KO. I like Semelsberger money line right now. I wish it was minus 140. I didn't get that at minus 140. It's about 190, 200 range. You can look at the unders here. I think Medic has a shot to get the finish too, and if he doesn't, he's probably going to get finished himself. And we'll go from there from this fight. Next one's going to be CJ Vergara versus Vinicius Salvador. Vergara is 11-4-1, 32 years old, 5'6", with a 68-inch reach. And Salvador is 14-5, 27 years old, 5'7", with a 70.5-inch reach. So Vergara, he's a solid striker on the feet. He likes to push forward. He has okay grappling and wrestling. Not the greatest of takedowns, but he can mix it up. He's pretty durable, as we've seen in his last fight against Lacerda, where he was knocked down a couple times and he just started running around the circle or the cage, trying not to get hit by Lacerda. And Lacerda was dumb enough to literally follow him and gas himself out even more. So that was a funny time, I remember. But Salvador, aggressive striker with power in his hands. He's durable. He's not super technical, but he's unorthodox enough to keep his opponents guessing. His takedown defense is just okay. He doesn't really wrestle or grapple, so he's going to be mainly a striker here. So this is an interesting fight. And I'm not going by recency bias too much here, but we saw in the Vergara fight against Lacerda that he can be rocked early with someone aggressive, and Salvador is aggressive. And I think Salvador gets this one done. And Salvador did look good early on in the Altamirano fight. And then in the third round, I just don't think he had enough in him, and he couldn't just get the win out. It was a pretty close decision, actually. But Vergara, he's, like I said, he got knocked down a couple times now, so I'm kind of wondering what that chin's going to look like against another guy who can actually get the knockouts in the flyweight division and be a little crazy, and not as crazy as Lacerda, but pretty crazy. He's got better cardio, Salvador does. But this is going to be one of my underdog picks of the night. I'm going to go with Salvador to get this one done, and I'm going to say he does get that knockout in the first round. If not, I'm not even scared that this fight goes to decision. I think he can win a decision here too. Vergara is going to need to mix in some wrestling if he wants to win this fight, though. If it's going to be on the feet, I like Salvador all day. He's going to land better shots, and I think he's going to win this one either way. So give me Salvador to win this one by knockout. Bets, you can look at the plus 145 for Salvador. Vergara is not even that bad, but for the line, I think the value is on Salvador. I think this is a closer fight than a lot of people are thinking for some reason. Next one, Jake Matthews versus Darius Flowers. And we got Matthews is 18-6, 28 years old, 5'11 with a 72-inch reach. And Flowers is 12, 5-1, also 28 years old, 5'9 with a 71-inch reach. So Matthews, get there. I pass it? Oh, there we are. So Matthews is a well-rounded fighter. He's got solid striking, which we haven't really seen too much of um in the past, but lately he's trying to strike with Matthew Semelsberger, with Fialho. He started doing some more striking, but mainly he's a wrestler, grappler kind of guy, and he does have good wrestling and grappling. I guess a little inconsistent as of late. He looked very good against Fialho. I don't know what he was doing in the Semelsberger fight. I'm going to be honest with you there. Um, but he can be hittable at times. He's durable. If he gets rocked, he gets back up. Good cardio as well. Flowers, he's making his UFC debut also on short notice. He's an aggressive striker. He's got power in his hands. He likes to push forward. Okay, wrestling and grappling, but he's going to try to strike with you first and foremost. And he can be a little wild. He's not very technical on the feet. So, with all that being said, too, I know like I said, Flowers is dangerous early, but taking this on short notice, and I do think the gas tank will kind of fail him a bit here in Salt Lake City. If Jake Matthews can just survive for at least one round, I think Matthews does get it done. Maybe mix in some takedowns this time in this fight. He hasn't done that as of late. Striking, though, I mean, Matthews is not a bad striker. I just think he's a better wrestler and grappler. He needs to get this fight to the mat, wear on Flowers more, and he can get Flowers out of there late second or third round. So with my pick, though, I'm going to say Matthews gets it done by decision, though. Matthews isn't really, maybe even a submission. That's something on the table, but we haven't seen him get a lot of finishes in the UFC except the Fialho fight. He's been finished, a lot of decisions here. And then, these are all like 5 years ago. So he hasn't really got a lot of some or finishes in the UFC. So I'm going to go by decision. Bets, I don't know the lines yet. I haven't seen them yet, so I don't know if Matthews is a pretty decent. He's probably going to be the favorite. If he's like minus 200 range, I think that's solid. I would be willing to parlay him up with that. If not, he's probably going to be like minus 350, and I'd stay away. You can maybe look at the over unders, but this might be a fight to just stay away. Next one to be Roman Kopylov versus Claudio Ribeiro. Kopylov is 10-2, 32 years old, 6 foot, 75-inch reach. And Ribeiro is 11-3, 31 years old, 6'1", with a 77-inch reach. So Kopylov, very good kickboxer, good kicks. He's got good power in his hands, solid takedown defense. He looked a lot better in his last 2 fights than his first 2 fights in the UFC. So, but then again, those are pretty. They're okay. Juraev's the best out of the bunch. Let's be honest. But Ribeiro, he is a powerful striker. He likes to push forward. He's not really the most technical of strikers. He can be a little wild at times. He does have some wrestling, and he could use good takedowns. But his cardio, he does tend to fade as the fight goes on, especially if he tries to get out of there. And this is something to think about too. Like I said, um, elevation. I mean, we've seen Kopylov slow down in some fights too, but we've seen Ribeiro slow down even more so. So I think Kopylov may have a little advantage here with that. And I got to go with Kopylov here. I don't like this line, though, for the money line. I think this is a closer fight than what the line says, but I do think Kopylov can survive the first round at least. And then I think that's going to be his fight to lose after that. I mean, he still can win in the first round, but Kopylov's not really like the biggest knockout guy. Ribeiro is the knockout guy in this fight. Um, Even if Ribeiro does go for some takedowns, which may be a good idea, I think that's just going to gas him out even more. So I think Ribeiro is like maybe first round, maybe a first round and a half or bust, and Kopylov can maybe win the later round. So with my pick, though, I'm going to say Kopylov wins this one. I'll say by, I want to see how many times he's been finished. Two times. I'll say by like a late like early third round knockout when Ribeiro is just a little too gassed and he tried for some wrestling and some takedowns and just didn't get it. So I can see this going to decision maybe too, but I'd be shut. That would be like the third round. Both guys are just gassing and then they're just trying to survive. But I like Kopylov to get the win, but I just don't like his money line. For bets though, again, I don't know what bets to do on this one. I might just stay away. Maybe look at the under. If it's set at 2.5, I think that would be a pretty decent play there. If it's set at 1.5, that's where it gets dicey. Maybe a slight lean to the under as well, but we'll see what happens. Next one's going to be Derek Lewis versus Marcos Rogerio de Lima. Lewis is 26 and 11, 38 years old, 6'3 with a 79-inch reach. And De Lima, 21, 8 and 1, 38 years old as well, 6'1 with a 75-inch reach. Did I skip one? No, I didn't. Oh man, they moved around these fights. I'm sorry. I thought I skipped the Bonfim fight. I'm looking at my notes. My bad, guys. Let me go back to it. All right, I already said that stuff. We'll go to this one. Man, they really messed me up. Lewis is a powerful striker. He's super low volume. He's super patient. He waits for his times to strike, and then when he likes the opportunity, he unleashes all of his fury. And that's about all he has. His cardio can fade quickly after he does that. If his opponents go for takedowns, he tends to give them up real easy. He can get up like maybe twice, and then he starts to fade. And lately, I know he hasn't been on the greatest streaks. He's lost 3 in a row, 4 or 5, but see a little quit in him. See a little quit in him. And I don't know if he's 100% dedicated now, if he doesn't get that knockout early or when he unleashes the fury, kind of just gives up. And that's something I don't like to see in fighters. De Lima, though, he's a powerful striker as well. He's got very good leg kicks early on. He's got okay wrestling and takedowns that he can mix up in there. He does have power in his hands, too. He's durable. His cardio does tend to fade a little bit after maybe a round and a half or 2 rounds. So I don't think this fight's going to go past 2 rounds. I will tell you that. So someone's going to get a finish here, but I'm going to go with De Lima. Derek Lewis is always dangerous. We know this. He's always going to have a puncher's chance or at least 20 seconds of his fury to get a knockout. But after that, he's just like there for the taking. He's slowing down. He doesn't want to be in there. He even said himself he doesn't want to even fight 3 rounds or 5 rounds. He was probably a 1 round fighter. So um I think DeLima spams those leg kicks early. And if you see him spinning those leg kicks early, you know what's going to happen. Lewis is not going to like that. And maybe his power diminishes a bit from that. And then he kind of quits after a while and DeLima gets the knockout. So with my pick, I'm going to go with DeLima to get the knockout here. But Lewis is live for a knockout, which is a little scary. And it's always scary in a Lewis fight. Lately, hasn't been, but it's always scary until he's not in the UFC anymore. So that's you can look at the Lima money line. It's not minus 130 anymore. It's about 170, 180, minus 180. It's not too bad. I would prefer doing like the Lima inside the distance because one of these guys, I don't think this fight's going to decision. So you can cut that value, get it down to maybe like a plus money thing. We did see DeLima get a club and sub against Orlovsky. So that's something to think about before you do a DeLima knockout. So I do think he gets the knockout, but I don't think the inside the distance prop is going to be too much different price wise. And then also you can look at the under. I think the under hits here too. It's something you could do here. Next one, here it is. Trevin Giles versus Gabriel Bonfim. Giles is 16 and 4, 30 years old, 6 foot, 74-inch reach. And Bonfim is 14 and 0, 25 years old, 6'1, with a 72-inch reach. So Giles is a solid striker. He's got quick straights and jabs down the middle. He's got okay wrestling, nothing amazing, okay takedown defense as well. He can be a little hittable on the feet as the fight goes on, especially. He's pretty durable, but he can get rocked. And he's at times I've seen him slow down, and I don't know if that's just because of maybe I don't know, bad weight cut or something like that, or he's getting rocked and he slows down, but nothing super crazy. He's mainly his cardio is durable or good enough. Bonfim, though, super well-rounded fighter. He's the more dangerous of the Bonfim brothers. He's got good striking on the feet. He's got very good grappling and submissions. He's durable. I think this is I think like I said, definitely the more dangerous of the Bonfim brothers. This is the one that I think could go to the top. And I gotta go Bonfim here just because of that. He's the more dangerous fighter in this matchup. And I know people are gonna say that he doesn't have good striking, but he does have really good striking. Like I think it's better than Giles, and he's gonna have way better grappling. So if he gets this fight to the mat, I think it's gonna be a submission um pretty quickly actually. So um maybe maybe Gabriel tests his striking out early, and then maybe if he feels like he can get it done easily on the grappling, he'll go that way. If he wants to keep it on the feet, he'll keep it on the feet. So I'm gonna go with Bonfim to get this one done by a submission. I do think he's gonna go. It might even be a club and sub. He did that in one of his fights. The Trey Waters fight, I believe, was a club and sub, and then the Lazez fight. I think Lazez shot for a takedown, if I remember correctly. It was a quick fight, so I I can't remember, and he got guillotined. Bets though, Bonfim money line I think is safe for a parlay. Look at him inside the distance. You can look at the unders. Giles does have good power in his hands early, so he can land on Bonfim. Bonfim's never been knocked out or anything because he's undefeated. So something to think about there. But give me Bonfim by I'll say submission. Main card now we got Michael Chiesa versus Kevin Holland. Chiesa is 16 and 6, 35 years old, 6'1 with a 75.5 inch reach. Kevin Holland, 24 and 9, 30 years old, 6'3, 81 inch reach. So get here. Chiesa is a very good wrestler and grappler. He's got very good submissions. His striking, meh, not that great. But it's nothing awful. Little worrisome thing is he's not super active. He's been on the UFC desk. He does post fight, or not post fight interviews, but post like interviews on ESPN between the fights, all that stuff. So I know he was supposed to fight a while ago, but someone backed out. I think it was Leach. But his last two fights, I mean, they were against really good guys, but not the most impressive. We all know who Kevin Holland is because he fights basically 4 times a year, if you want to say. Very good striker. He's got good power in his hands. He's got okay grappling, better offensive grappling. Defensive grappling, he seems like he just can't get back up if he's on his back, but he does have decent scrambles. They seem to be getting better. Doesn't have the greatest takedown defense. He's very durable. He's got good cardio, but sometimes he has questionable fight IQ, which is always worrisome in a Kevin Holland fight. But lately, I would say it's a little bit better. But earlier on, maybe like a couple years ago, or let's say 8 fights ago, because he, like I said, he fights 4 times a year. Questionable fight IQ and questionable decisions at times. But I think Holland wins this one. Like I said, it can be a little bit worrisome with the fight IQ, but I do think he's going to be the way better striker. He's going to be more dangerous on the feet. And I don't know how Chiesa is going to look. He's 35 years old now. How dedicated is he to get this win? Is he just coming in for a paycheck? He's been on the UFC desk for a while, so he's getting paid that way. Like, what's the motivation for Chiesa here? Holland, I know the motivation for him. He wants to fight and he wants money. So he wants to fight as much as he can. He wants those win bonuses. He wants that 50 extra K. So give me Holland to win. I do think eventually he gets the knockout, maybe not in the first round, but I'm going to say second or third round when Chiesa starts to slow down. The takedowns aren't coming as quickly or easily. And I don't think Chiesa will be able to submit Holland, to be honest. I don't think so. Even though I know Chiesa is a very good grappler, very good submissions, but I don't think he's going to get in the I think Holland play it safe and use the length, keep at range, and get the knockout. So Holland by knockout bets. You can look at Holland inside the distance because he can also get a club and sub. You can look at the if it's set at 1.5. When I say this, if it's only set at 1.5, you can look at the over 1.5 here. I think that's a sneaky play if it's set at 1.5. If it's 2.5, probably want to go the under route because I do think this fight gets into the second round unless Holland just flash KOs him before Chiesa can get some wrestling going. Next one's going to be Tony Ferguson versus Bobby Green. Tony Ferguson, 25 and 8, 39 years old now, 5'11 with a 76.5 inch reach. And Bobby Green, 29, 14 and 1, 36 years old, 5'10 with a 71 inch reach. So look at all of these L's from both of these guys. It's pretty crazy. But Tony Ferguson, solid striker, unorthodox to the T. Normally he's durable, but lately he hasn't really been that durable. He's been submitted by Nate Diaz, which was awful, and KO'd by Michael Chandler, which was insane and sad at the same time. And then he's fighting the top of the top except Nate Diaz. Let's be honest. Michael Chandler's pretty up there, but Nate Diaz, that was just a weird fight, and it's just sad that he lost by a guillotine like that. Anyways, Bobby Green, very solid boxer, throws tons of volume, not the biggest of finishers, but very good cardio. Seems like he gets better as the fight goes on. He's durable. I know he's been knocked out once lately against Drew Dober, but Drew Dober is one of the hardest hitters in the lightweight division. Bobby Green can also wrestle if he wants to, but lately he hasn't really been wrestling. And he has good takedown defense too, or solid takedown defense. So I don't think Ferguson's going to be able to land a lot of takedowns on Bobby Green, if any at all. So I think this is going to be mainly on the feet. And unfortunately, and sad enough to say, I got to go Bobby Green. He's the better fighter at this point in both of their careers. Bobby's the better striker. He's going to throw way more volume. I think it's going to piece up Tony Ferguson. And kind of like the my comparison with Chiesa, why is Tony Ferguson here? Is this going to be his retirement fight? How motivated is he going to be? He's lost 5 in a row now. It seems like it just doesn't look good for him. Let's be to put it nicely. And the motivation's there for Bobby Green. He wants to win and he wants money, just like Kevin Holland. So got to pick Bobby Green to win this one. I'm going to say he wins this one by decision because Bobby Green doesn't really knock out too many people. And I think Tony Ferguson can survive Bobby Green's striking. Bets, you can look at you can probably put Bobby Green money line in a parlay. I think that's safe. You can look at the overs. I think those are safe as well. Minus 335, though, I will say it's not my favorite play, but it is what it is. Next one's going to be Stephen Thompson versus Michelle Pereira. It's Thompson, 17-6-1. He's 40 years old now, 6 foot, 75-inch reach. And Pereira is 28-11, 29 years old, 6'1", with a 73-inch reach. Let me find this one. There we are. So Thompson is a very good striker. He has that karate stance that everybody knows. He made famous, basically. He's got very, very, very good leg kicks, good head kicks, good body kicks. Any kick you want, he's got it. Good cardio. He's durable. Takedown defense is pretty good. Good volume. He's super experienced. He's fought the best of the best. And I think he's still good at 40 years old. He's looking good. He looked in his last fight against Kevin Holland. I know Holland broke his hand or whatever, but he's the one that made Kevin Holland break his hand. Like, I think it was the kicks that Kevin Holland was stopping, and he was looking good. He was durable. He took some good shots from Kevin Holland, and he just kept pushing forward and got the knockout. So it was a good win from him. Pereira, though, he's a good striker too. He's unorthodox as well. He can be kind of a showmanship, if you want to say a showman. He likes to do a lot of spinning kicks, spinning elbows, jumping knees, off the cage, Superman punches, all that good stuff. He does have good power in his hands. His cardio is better as of late. When he first came in the UFC, his cardio was a little bit suspect, but he can at least go 2 rounds. He can, let's see, sometimes he can be a little too patient and skirt around the edge of it later in the fight or around the cage too much. He doesn't really throw too much volume sometimes, as I noticed in his fights watching it back. He does have some wrestling and grappling he can use here, which may be a good idea, but very interesting fight. And I noticed when I was picking Wonder Boy fights after looking at all of these and watching some of the tapes, I'm not really the greatest at picking them. The one time I did do well was when Bilal Muhammad beat Thompson. I did pick Bilal Muhammad to win that fight. So I'm going to go with Thompson here. I don't think Pereira is a good enough wrestler and grappler to basically wrestle Thompson for all 3 rounds. I think Thompson's going to be able to land a lot of shots, out volume Pereira. Maybe Pereira lands some good spinning stuff a couple times, but I don't think he's going to be able to knock out Thompson or anything like that. A lot of Pereira's fights have gone to decision in the UFC, except the Imava, this fight, the Lem fight. So all of these other ones all went to decision. So in some of these, like the Chaos Williams fight, very debatable. And the Fialho fight, I thought, was also very. Oh, I'm sorry, this Ponzinibbio fight. That's what it was. very debatable as well that he won that fight. So I like Thompson still at 40 years old. I think he gets it done. It probably goes to decision, and I think he gets the nod. Bets, I mean, Thompson money line's a little bit lower than that now. I think it's minus 170 range. I think that's not a bad price still. I'm gonna watch that one. The overs you can look at, especially. I think those are good. Two good ones. And I mean, if you're on Pereira, the underdog, it's not bad either. Co-main event, we got Jan Blachowicz versus Alex Pereira. Blachowicz is 29, 9 and 1, 40 years old as well, 6'2, 78-inch reach. And Pereira, 7 and 2, 36 years old, 6'4 with an 80-inch reach. So Blachowicz, very good striker. He's got good power. He's got very good leg kicks, low leg kicks. He can wrestle. His takedowns are okay. But when he does get the takedowns on top, he doesn't really do too much. Like he just kind of, I don't want to say lay and pray, but he's mainly gonna just stay on top of you and hope that you don't give up. And I mean, he'll land some ground and pound here and there, but nothing crazy. He doesn't go for submissions or anything like that. He just wants to rack up some control time. He's very durable. His takedown defense, though, isn't amazing, which I'll bring that up in a second here. But he's got good cardio. He's been in 5-round fights, so he can do all that. Pereira, he is moving up from middleweight to light heavyweight. He is going to be a monster. I've seen some pictures of him, how he looks now, and he's going to be even bigger than he looked as a middleweight. It's going to be insane. But he's a super good kickboxer. He's got crazy power in his left check hook. He's got good leg kicks when he uses them. Good cardio. He went about 5 rounds with Izzy the first time, so he can do that as well. He's got pretty good takedown defense. And he's shown a little bit of wrestling and takedowns himself in one of the Izzy fights too. So he can kind of do that. And very interesting fight here. And both fighters are good strikers. I would give Pereira the edge here. I just think he's a little bit more technical kickboxer. If it stays at range, I like Pereira. But Jan is good. And I would say Jan has the better offensive wrestling for sure of the two. But hear me out with this one. I'm going to give you my little conspiracy theory tinfoil hat time right here. So Pereira, as I know a lot of people know this, Pereira has been training with Glover Teixeira, and Glover Teixeira fought Jan. And I'm pretty sure Pereira is working on a little bit of grappling, a little bit of takedown defense with Glover. Glover showed him some moves, showing him some grappling stuff that he can do too, which is probably why he tried to go for a takedown with Izzy too. I think he can get a takedown or two in this fight if he wants to. I'm not saying he's going to, but if he wants to, I think if he shoots for a takedown, I think he can get it. But does he want to? That's the thing. And if he can take Jan's back, Jan doesn't really know what to do when he gets out grappled. Like we've seen it in the Glover fight. I mean, normally 9 times out of 10, light heavyweights don't grapple. So if it's on the feet, it's going to be a little bit closer. But on the mat, I mean, Pereira is a big dude, and if he gets the back and he's working with Glover on like a rear naked choke or something, I think he can get it. But I won't say that. This is just what I'm thinking. I'm not saying it's going to happen. Needless to say, I do think Pereira is going to win this fight, even if it does no takedowns, no nothing. Even if Jan does get a takedown or two, I still think Pereira can win this fight. I think he's going to land the better shots. I think as the fight goes on, I think Pereira is going to get a little bit stronger. He's going to land some really good shots and maybe even get Jan Blachowicz out of there. I mean, Jan's 40 years old, and I know he's super durable, but man, I don't know. Pereira is just another demon, and I'm not discounting Blachowicz whatsoever because he's very durable, very tough. We've seen it in all of his fights, but I'm going to say Pereira wins one, and I'm going to say he gets the knockout, maybe like in the 3rd or 4th round. It would be a sneaky prop bet, though. He did Pereira by submission. I'm just throwing it out there now. I could be totally wrong. But if I'm right, think about it. Bets, though, you can look at Pereira money line. He's a slight underdog at I think he's a pick'em minus 110, even though they have Jan still at minus 120, which doesn't make any sense to me on my book. You can look at Pereira inside the distance or knockout, or you can look at the overs. I don't know what it's set at, but if it's set at like 1.5, I would like the over. 2.5, that's where it gets a little dicey. But I still think it gets over there. So give me Pereira by knockout, I will say. But watch out for that sub prop. I'm telling you guys, it could happen maybe. Next one's going to be Pereira. Poirier main event versus Gaethje 2. Poirier, 29-7, 34 years old, 5'9", 73-inch reach. Gaethje, 24-4, 34 years old as well, 5'11", with a 70-inch reach. So this is going to be a very fun fight for sure. Both these guys are literally almost the same kind of fighter. They're both crazy, wild. They go for it. They're brawlers. They want to make this a fun, entertaining fight. They want to go for the knockout. They go for it all the time. The only difference I would say is I think Poirier has the better striking defense. The defensive boxing is there. He can be leg kicked a lot, like in the last fight against when they fought. Gaethje was landing a lot of leg kicks, but Poirier was making Gaethje pay every time he was landing a leg kick. Gaethje would land a leg kick, Poirier would come back with a jab up the middle or even a couple hooks and land a couple combos. So Gaethje's going to need to do a little bit better with that if that's the same game plan he wants to use. And then Gaethje, maybe, like I said, he's got good leg kicks, so that could play a part in this fight. He's very hittable. I wish he would mix in some takedowns here and there, but we've seen if he does, it's not really that great. So this fight's going to play out on the feet. And I like Poirier to win this fight. I'll be honest. I think he's the better of the two. Both guys are very similar with their styles, like I said, but I think he's the better of the two. And I wouldn't be shocked whatsoever if this fight goes 2 minutes or if it goes all 25 minutes, because anything can happen in this fight. But give me Poirier to win. I'm going to say by a third or fourth round finish by like knockout, I'll say. I think he just is going to eventually, the accumulation that Poirier is going to land on Gaethje, and Gaethje might go for it in the first round like he always does. And if he doesn't get it, then he starts to slow down and Poirier will probably take over. And for the bets though, Poirier money line, I like that. I'm gonna see where the week where the line goes throughout the week. You can look at the over if it's set at like 2.5. I think that's or 3.5. That's something to think about. 3.5, that's where it gets dicey. I don't know which way if I would go under or over, but 2.5, I like the over in that. That's a pretty decent bet. But all right, guys, those were the 12 fights. Appreciate everybody sticking around for this long and all that good stuff. As I said, please hit that like button for me on your way out. Please subscribe if you're new and you enjoyed my video. Please leave any comments below on your favorite fights, on your favorite fighters, who's going to win, who's going to lose, and how, any bets that you like. As always, Thursday nights are me and Cody from Blood Money MMA Bets live shows. It'll be on my channel this week. Thursday, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, we will give you our picks and best bets. Saturday, we're going to have a pre-fight show on Blood Money's YouTube channel with 2 special guests, so definitely don't want to miss that as well. So again, thank you everybody for watching, and until next time, happy fighting out.